Welcome to Marriage Monday with Jeremiah and Savannah Jennings. The Jennings own Growing Green Landscapes and are very happily married. In this podcast, Jeremiah and Savannah discuss the wins, losses, good times, bad times, and everything in between pertaining to owning a business while maintaining a healthy marriage along the way. We hope you enjoy the show.
What's going on, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to another episode today here on the Growing Green podcast, and thank you for joining us for another Marriage Monday. These are so cool and so unique that we get to do this show. We've just grown so much over the last 3/4 of a year. It's crazy we've been doing it that long, but we've learned so much from so many great people that we've gotten to interview. Savannah's here with us today.
Yep.
How are you?
Hi, I'm good.
Good. We've got another great guest interview coming for you today. We're actually pleased to talk with Ken and Jen Donaghues, the Showcase Lawn up in Missouri, and they have been some friends that we've gotten to get to know and grow closer to the last couple years. Just being on social media and being in the industry, it's been an awesome thing getting to network with so many like-minded people, and these two are just, if you don't know them, then you haven't been on social media much, because, I mean, they've been on all kinds of podcasts recently and just really storming onto the scene of just trying to give as much knowledge as they can back to the community about how they've been married for 30-plus years. Is that correct?
We haven't been married for 30-plus years. Ken's been in business for 32, and I think we've been together for 28.
Okay, so pretty close then. I'd say that's close enough.
Yeah.
But anyway, y'all are here. Thanks for joining us. Tell everybody a little bit about yourselves and who you are in case they haven't heard of you yet.
So we're Ken and Jen Donaghues, born and raised right outside St. Louis, Missouri. We have 6 kids. We have 4 girls, 2 boys. Basically since day one, we've just, you already had your business for a few years when we met, but since then, this has been our life. So lawn care, babies, and now teenagers and adults, and so it's kind of a full circle.
Yeah, life's ups and downs, kids with illnesses and allergies, and
Yeah. So, 6 kids and 30 years of business. And 28 years of marriage. That's a lot to unpack. I feel like we could spend a long time here. How did y'all first meet? How did you meet back in the day?
Oh, that's a classic. Have you ever seen the movie Rocky?
Yeah.
Yeah. We met. Jenny worked in a pet store, and I was frequenting there, and
he would just come in, make up excuses to come in and talk to me, and he laughed a ton. But Ken's 7 years older than I am, so I was 17 and he was 24, which I would not let my daughter, who's 17, date a 24-year-old, but it worked out for us. So he kept asking me out. I kept telling him no, and I would say, if you were just younger, you'd be the perfect guy for me. And then he'd be like, do you want to go do this? And I'd be like, you're too old. And then one time I was like, yes, let's go. And ever since then, it's the rest is history. We've been together. So,
did your parents have an issue with that?
When he came for our first date to pick me up, my mom's like, okay, this is like a man. And
she carded me. I thought she was, and I went out to my truck to get my wallet, my ID, and this was Halloween, mind you, and I'm walking back up to the door, and here comes this guy with his kid behind me. And so I just walked back in the house and shut it behind me. Lo and behold, it was her dad, and I shut the door right in his face.
Oh,
so
my
Mom,
goodness.
all of his information, and we went on a date. And so, yeah, ever since then.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. It's crazy. Age is one of those things. Like, I feel like when you reach a certain, like, when you get to where you're both like over 20 or 21, then like it doesn't really matter. But like people that are 10 years apart, me and Savannah talked about this all the time, and it's just crazy. Like, if you're we know a lot of people that are 10 years apart. Like it's not that uncommon, I wouldn't say. And
No.
but if you're 10 years apart, then that means like when you were a senior, your
one of you
spouse
is 15
was in
and one
like
of you is 25.
yeah. When you were a senior in high school, one of your spouse was in like elementary or middle school.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy. It's weird, but once you reach that age, so that's funny that y'all worked out like that. So did y'all? I mean, how long did y'all date? Did y'all just know from the get go? What did that? I mean, did you have your business, Ken, at that time?
Yeah, I had my business, and so I worked a lot, obviously in the during the season, and then I've got more time on my hands than necessary in the off season, and so.
So we started dating like in November, and then
I spent all my cash reserves, taking her out.
Yeah.
Of course,
yeah. And then actually the pet shop I was working at, it closed, it went out of business, and so then I started my lawn girl career that spring, and so I was running a trimmer and
a blower.
Yeah.
Oh wait, you worked in the business with him?
I did.
Oh, I did not know that. That's really cool.
I was a lawn girl. I've put my time in. We had for a while we had a lot of sod jobs we were doing. There was a lot of new construction in our area, and there was a lot of sod jobs that we were doing. So I laid sod a lot. I've laid sod while I was pregnant.
Oh my goodness.
I've gotten my hands dirty, but I generally don't do that now. Just we've grown. We have I have other jobs that I do now, but yeah, at the beginning I did. So yeah, we
How long did you work in the business?
in the field. I mean,
Yeah, like in the field.
yeah, a couple of seasons, and then when we had our first baby, we wanted, like, it was always a priority for us when we had kids that I would be home with them.
Mm-hmm.
Once we had her, I really didn't go back out in the field and work anymore. But until then, for a few seasons, I did.
So what did the foundation of the business look like then? If you worked in it from the very beginning, then you working out in the field with Ken, then y'all were really living off like the one business income then. So what was that like? How long did it take y'all to grow the business and get it to where you were like, hey, this really works. We can survive on this one business income. Just because we know a lot of people that and we're like Savannah is a nurse outside of the business, so she brings an income, and that's a big thing that a lot of people still that's a big goal of theirs, is to get it to where they're both, either their wife stays at home or they work in the business with them. So it sounds like y'all did that in the very beginning. How did that work for y'all?
I think you have to make it work. Like, you make choices in life. So we've had some personal issues, like our oldest daughter, when she was 8, was diagnosed with a disease called ulcerative colitis. And so it's an autoimmune disease similar to Crohn's disease. And she was really, really sick for a long time. When she was 8, that was in 2005. And then when she was 11, she had her entire large intestine removed, and really about a 2-year period of surgeries and just being pretty sick, that you end up just, our business kind of got pushed to the back burner because your family is what's more important in those situations. And so we've had times, I think, where we've really focused on our business, like the past couple of years. We've really been focusing on our business and growing and, having nicer equipment and things like that. But there's been other times where your business is just kind of secondary. You have to do it because you have to have an income, but it's not your main priority and focus because other things are more important. And not that those things, not that family is ever not important, because it is. But sometimes there's different fires that are bigger than others. So right now, knock on some wood, our personal life, everyone's happy and healthy. So we can focus on our business.
And they're growing, you know.
Yeah, they're older. So our youngest is 16. Our oldest is 25, 26. And so your focus kind of changes because, you know, you like where you and Savannah are, you have a baby and you're brand new. And, so your focus has to be a little bit different. But I think it's going back to like the one income or like, how do you make this work? It's faith. Like if, you know, you make a priority, if you say, this is my goal, how am I going to get there? So am I going to be careful about how I'm spending money? Am I going to not go on vacations? Am I going to, you know, be really conscious about eating out or groceries or where we're spending it? We're not going to have, you know, pay for a lot of TV or entertainment. And then, you know, you can make it work.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of sacrifices, you know, with her not working outside the home and bringing any money into the household. That was all on me out in the field. She was handling some stuff here, obviously, with invoicing and fielding phone calls and things of that nature. So, you know, like everyone's, you know, we're both doing our part. But, yeah, when the income's not, you know, great, you make sacrifices. You know, you don't get to go on vacations or eat out as often. You know, keep Christmas a little leaner, you know, focus on do what you got to do for the business to survive, because ultimately, you know, if that's how you provide for your family, you're doing it for your family. So, I mean, I've had a lot of weeks where I've worked 70 or 80 hours a week, and, you know, it gets crazy. But, you know, fall or winter hits, and then I think I'm home more than she'd like for me to be home. Helps her sanity if I'm gone a little bit. So.
100%. Did y'all have like a time in the beginning of your marriage where you like really sat down and discussed like the why and the purpose behind your business? Because so a few minutes ago when you were talking about what happened, I just lost cell reception, so you cut out a little bit, and I don't think everybody got to hear. What were you saying between like 2000 and 2008, 2009? Were you saying that was a rough spot for y'all?
Well, yeah, like, you know, with the economy, like after 9/11, we had a big recession. 2008, 2009, we had another economic slowdown. So, and then also in conjunction with that, that was when our daughter got sick. So the economy slows down and, you know, she's sick. And so, you know, everything kind of hits the brakes a little bit.
Yes. And so at that, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. Continue.
No, you're fine.
No, I was just so when that stuff happens, like that's what I mean by how did you get through those times? Like when you're both like you're all in the business, did y'all really sit down and have a conversation like, you know, you're both on the same page of why you're running your business? What did that whole process look like? Because I feel like it would be very easy to like just want to hang it all up.
Yeah, Ken actually throughout the years had a couple of different job offers. There was an irrigation company here who wanted to start a lawn maintenance division and had him in, and like kind of was like at the beginning it was like, oh, kind of like a consultation or like a consultant, you know, tell us how you do this and this. And then they ended up offering him like the position to run that division, and the pay was absolutely horrible.
Well, it was probably close to what I was making working on my own. But they said, well, you know, from March through October, you know, you're going to have to be in before the crews get in. You're going to have to stay till after the crews leave, and you're going to be salary. So here's what you're going to make. And I was like, well, okay. Is there any bonuses? And they're like, yeah, there's bonuses, but we don't know what they are. And I'm like, okay, but what about wintertime? Do I just not have to come in the office? And they're like, oh no, you still got to come put in your 40. And I was like, why in the world would I work what I work now and put in 40 for the same amount of money I already make? And so I think it just goes back to, you know, try and budget the best you can. We were never good about that. So, you know, I think learning your numbers, like everyone's talking now, those are all things we didn't do. You know, I had a mentor, but in the business, but he didn't teach me any of those things. He just taught me how to figure mulch and how far it goes and what I should charge, and, you know, help me out on mowing and whatnot. But he never taught me, you know, anything about budgeting. So,
and I think one of the things that I love about this community that, recently, my husband listens to podcasts all the time and has been into green industry podcasts for a while and, following people on Instagram. And it's been kind of more recently that I have. But the community that's here is so valuable. People should really use it as a resource because it wasn't there when we were, going through hard times in our business. And frankly, did we sit down and have a conversation about well, what are we going to do about this? No, it's the option's never to quit. The option's just how do we solve this problem? And so,
it was never figure out how to work smarter. It was always work harder. I go back to the Rocky movies. There was that phrase. He says, "It's not how many times you get hit or how hard you get hit. It's getting back up after each hit. You just keep getting back up. And keep pushing forward. We've always been fly by the seat of our pants, and now we're like, oh, we can't do that anymore.
Yeah, but
I've got to turn this into a real business now.
Well, it's always been a real business, but I think now there's a greater understanding out there of it's important. Know your numbers. Know this. Know that.
Get efficient.
Focus. Yeah, how you listen to different podcasts. Well, this is how this guy does this. That makes so much sense. I want to implement that in our business. And so those things we've just kind of had to learn the hard way. You do. We a few years ago, nobody could remember to do all the things when we got back to the shop. Empty out this out of the trailer, make sure this is loaded, blah blah blah. And so we made a closing list, and that helps people out. All of our systems we've just kind of figured out on our own until the past few years, where you listen to other people and you're like, oh, this is how they do this, and it's a really good resource.
Yeah, I think we've since last August when we first looked into. We attended a jobber summit via Zoom, and that's when I discovered your podcast and Paul's podcast, and so we've had this total revitalization since last August. I'm just absorbing everything I can. But I think getting back to our relationship, I think I've always handled just busting my butt out in the field, and she's done what she could with the office and the kids, and with 6 kids, I don't know that there was a one of them that I got up with in the middle of the night because they were crying. She just always did that because she knew I had to get up in the morning and go out and cut grass. And so I think we kind of each had our roles. And then as we get a little bit older, we realize, you want to help out with the others. I'll help with the dishes. I didn't grow up like that, but now I'm realizing it's not that big a deal to do what I can to help out with dishes or laundry and cleaning up around the house. But on the flip side, if I'm out in the field and we need a part from the supplier and they're 30 minutes from our shop, she'll hop in the car and run down and pick up parts I need, so.
But we're equal partners.
Yeah.
You're not more important than I am. I'm not more important than you. We work together. We're a team.
A team.
Yeah.
Yes.
How did y'all define your roles? What did that process look like for y'all?
Probably some yelling.
Well,
I think that's probably what happens a lot of the time.
And obviously, let's face it, us men aren't, we're not born to rear children. And so, yeah, I think, she's just always taken it upon her to, do the nurturing of the children. And I go out and do as much as I can to provide for the financial needs of the family. So as far as roles in the business, she obviously doesn't want to get out there and sweat all day in the, 90 plus degree heat and humidity, which I'm sure you're familiar with.
If I had,
yeah.
But I'm the one that's always out doing that. And the flip side of that, it drives me nuts to come home and do paperwork and deal with invoicing, and I just can't handle, being cooped up in a house.
Yeah, so you just both found what worked for y'all, and you just kind of took it and ran with it.
Like our strengths
go ahead.
weaknesses, And I think you kind of just, after this long together, I don't remember, I remember when we first bought our house and moved in and all that, hating the way he squeezed toothpaste. And I remember we had an argument about that. And now we just have separate toothpaste. And
that is a smart marriage right there. We have had that same discussion. We won't call it an argument. We'll call it a discussion, an intense discussion many times about, what were y'all, I want to know, what did y'all argue about? Was it if you squeeze from the middle or the bottom? What was the argument about?
So I guess I'm more chaotic with my toothpaste juice. I'll squeeze from the middle. It doesn't bother me.
Oh, that's Savannah. Oh, that kills me.
I'm working from the end.
Yeah, that kills me, man. Ken, I'm with you, buddy. I'm with you. You need to work it from the end all the way up.
I listened to one of Mike McCowitz's podcasts, and he talked about, I think it was Pareto's rule. If there's a lot of access to whatever material you need, you tend to use it and burn through it.
Yep.
You get to the end of the toothpaste and there's not another tube. You're squeezing every bit out. You're cutting the end off of it and scooping it out. And so I challenged myself to see how far can I get with the tube of toothpaste. And so I put the tiniest amount on there, and it it does its job. And then if anyone else uses my toothpaste and I see them squeezing out a whole toothbrush full, I'm like, man, that's 6 times, 7 times for me to brush my.
I think that's disgusting. And I'll
think it's disgusting.
And then I'll push it up from the end when the middle's gone, and it's totally fine.
I mean, yeah, I can see both sides there. I would just make sure you're using a good amount of toothpaste. You don't want to.
Yeah, I like the kind of foams, and it seems to really do. I've got more than enough, so I'm good. No one's complaining that my breath is bad or my teeth are dirty. So.
Yeah, I mean I guess if nobody's quits conversing with you after a little bit, then you're good. So that's funny. So let me ask y'all this: if you would let's talk about budgeting a little bit more, because that's something that Savannah and I was one of our goals this year to kind of hit that harder. And a lot of people that are listening in are in that early stages of business where money isn't just, you don't just have free cash flow, free money flowing in. We need a little bit of help. We need to budget. We need to get our finances correct, and we're still in that same boat, and I think a lot of people out there are. And tell me, how did y'all learn to budget? And how did that work for you? Because with 6 kids, you have to budget. There's no way you can't not budget, especially when your business is the sole source of your income. So how, if you don't mind, go into some detail into budgeting and tell us and share with everyone about how you did that.
I think I do 99% of our shopping, and I'm very price conscious about just for instance, groceries. 2 teenage boys consume a lot of food. And then, you add some other people in there, because we still have 2 girls at home. And so I'm really conscientious about how do we spend money for groceries. I do most of our shopping in bulk, and I'm really particular about what I buy and, how much I buy. And so I think, as far as, we just try to live pretty frugally. My van is from 2012. It has a lot of miles on it. It's a great van though. So you buy something quality and you take care of it, and it's going to last you longer. Same thing with our work trucks. When I met Ken, he had a brand new Dodge Ram. It was when Dodge first went from the old farmer truck to that cool front end. And so he was one of the first people in our town that had that truck, and it was really cool. But he drove that truck until it died. And funny story, but our son Ben was born in that truck on the way to the hospital. So
there was a season that it's sad.
Yeah, no one used that truck, but you just take care of what you use and you shop carefully, and you are a wise steward over your money.
Hey guys, I hope you're doing well today. I just want to come to you really quickly and tell you about the best kept secret in the green industry, and that is the landscaping bookkeeper. If you don't know who Joey and Megan Cobley are, then you're missing out, because they have created a totally remote bookkeeping service that can transform your business no matter what state you live in. They are my personal bookkeepers for growing green landscapes. They help Paul Jameson with the Green Industry Podcast and many, many more satisfied clients. All you need to do is go to thelandscapingbookkeeper.com, schedule a 15-minute free consult call with them to see if they're a good fit for you. If they are, then guess what? Simply sign up, add them to the team, and get out of the office and get back in the field, producing labor and growing that top-line revenue while also holding on to your profits, because your books are in the best shape possible. Go to thelandscapingbookkeeper.com, schedule a 15-minute call, get signed up today, and change your books and your business forever. So as your business is developed, and you mentioned you're starting to buy nicer, newer equipment and just kind of reinvest into your business, was that something that was hard for you, Ken, kind of like putting the cash down or financing or whatever, however y'all run your business, but like just making that investment into some, because when you get into newer equipment, it gets expensive. And I know you just bought a new piece of equipment just last month when you were at the podcast summit. So like, what did that transition look like for you when you went from maybe not buying the old used mower with 1,000 hours, but maybe buying the new mower, the new sprayer, or whatever that is, as you've kind of business has developed and your lifestyle and times in life have changed? Was that hard for you?
No, I'm like, I'm an equipment freak. I like having equipment. In the past when we didn't have kids, I had a couple new mowers, and then you just ran them to death, and then you've got all these other bills, and so the equipment kind of went on the back burner. And so, yeah, I ran several seasons on some really old, beat-up equipment. I had a equipment rep that, said, "Hey, we've got these 3 old mowers sitting here that someone traded in, and we just got to get them out of here. Do you want them? They're like $250 a piece." And I had an old Ferris here that was broke down. While I bought a used Ferris walk behind and 2 Skag walk behind 52s, and I took the 2 Skags and made one, and then I took parts off of the one Ferris and fixed mine, and I was back to 2 walk behinds, but they were beaters and they were always breaking down. And I think we were mowing 50 or 60, 70 properties, and I had a helper, but he was difficult to deal with at times. And so the next season, I told Jenny, I was like, we've got 2 choices. I'm going to hang this up and figure out something else to do, or I've got to buy a new mower. And at the time, Ferris was running at 0%. We bought a brand new walk behind. The employee didn't return, and I said, this mower cost me, I don't know, it was like $1,400 a year. It's a whole lot cheaper than having an employee. I'll just do it myself. But the next thing you know, with having a reliable piece of equipment, I got things done quicker and started picking up more yards, and then I was back to needing a helper again. So
yeah,
and then it just got to the point where it was like we realized, and I know you talk about good debt, and some people don't like any debt.
Yeah,
we'll leave them out of this conversation, Paul. But I think that if you buy a piece of equipment, even if you finance it, and nothing's free, that they call 0%, you call what it is, you're still paying.
They're getting their money, yeah.
But when we started having reliable equipment, it took that out of the equation, the constant breakdowns. And so I'm all about, financing a piece of equipment if necessary. You've got options, if I had $20,000 sitting in the bank and I needed it for running a business, or I can invest it into, you name the investment out there. There's lots to choose from, but that or investing in yourself, I just chose to invest in myself. And so we took that extra money and invested in new equipment, and that keeps us efficient. I mean, I couldn't mow. I mean, we're mowing close to 130 lawns a week now. I couldn't do that when I had walk behinds. We had to move into the stand-on era, and that makes us so much more efficient. Last year we bought a second one so that because my son was, tired of the walking, and our walk behind was starting to have issues, and so we bought a second stand on, and the next thing you know, we were able to take on probably 20 more yards because we were just so much more efficient. So I think investing in efficient equipment is, pays dividends by far.
But when you were running those old mowers that you cobbled together and all of that, that was when Maddie was really sick.
Yes.
And so the main bulk of our energy and income was going towards hospital bills and health insurance premiums and all of those things. So, that was a choice we made, well, it's not really a choice. You have to take care of your kids.
Yeah.
And so the choice was, well, we got to put the money over here and you're going to run like this. And we got through it, and now it's, different and much nice. Everybody's happier when you have nice equipment, but, the health of our child was more important. So that was the sacrifice you made to run old equipment so that we could take care of her.
Yeah, and that's definitely just that goes back to what we said earlier. Like, it's just different stages of life that you're in, and you're just in a different stage of life now, and so you get to spend a little bit more money and buy some nicer things. What is some advice that y'all would give to guys out there, guys and girls, people that are going to be married and moving forward in business, that when they have hard times come up, because you never know when they're going to come. They could come tomorrow. Like, y'all weren't expecting for your daughter to be sick, but it just happened. And so, what is some advice y'all would give as to a couple out there who is like, maybe they're going through trouble or it's going to come, and y'all have been through it. So what's some advice you'd give them on just how to handle that and also keep your business moving at the same time?
I think you can use the word sacrifice. You can use the word compromise. Any relationship, whether it's business or personal, family, everything's about compromise. Everyone's got what they want to do, and that might differ from what your significant other or business partner or your staff wants to do. And so I think everything's about compromise and try and get the best results for everyone involved.
A long time ago, I heard this quote, and it was, choose your love and love your choice. And so that's just kind of been something that we've kind of gone with our relationship. Like, we loved each other, and we made the choice that we wanted to be each other's person. So while you do that, there's going to be hard times that come. There's going to be good times that come. How are you a partner? How do I support him? How does he support me? We always have each other's backs. Like, whatever it is, if, it's doing the dishes, or our trimmer broke and I need you to go get this, or, something major, your child's sick, or you have, some other catastrophe in your life. You have to know that your person is your partner. And above all else, whatever hardship you're going through, you choose each other and you figure out how you get through that together.
Yeah, that's good. You put each other first and make sure that y'all are on the same page. That's what I was talking about earlier. Like, did you have a common purpose, a why behind what you're doing? And when you know that, when you know your why, then it helps you come together and stay together in the long run, I feel like. So that's what we're trying to do, trying to get that stuff figured out now early on in our marriage, and then as we move forward in business and in life, then hopefully when hard times come, we'll be able to handle those and navigate those better. What would y'all how important would you say the community that we have is? You hit on it a little bit ago, but now that y'all have been in it for a little bit, now, Ken, you said August. Were you talking about August of 2022 or 2021?
2022.
Really? I did not. It's only been that long?
Yeah.
Man, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, here you have local friends that you like, or other lawn guys that, like.
I try to mentor some of the young guys in the area. But as far as.
But 20 years ago, you took that Spanish for the Green Industry class, and you met a couple of friends like Mark and other people that you had relationships here, like other lawn guys. Yeah.
But as far as like around the country, that would, like, the social media side of things was just back on August. That's crazy.
Yeah. yeah, as far as like being in business and having, a buddy here or there that can come help you out or something, I've had that through the years, but I think it goes back to, I know Paul has mentioned guys side-eyeing each other at the stoplights. That's how it just seems how lawn care is. You're always worried that someone else is going to steal your lawns, and you don't dare tell somebody what you're charging the customer. And now, since social media has taken off so much, and I was already listening to podcasts, but they were more personal and business oriented. Nothing green industry.
Yeah,
I didn't get the green industry kick, and that community until August of 2022. Like I said, they had that Jobber Summit, and Mike McCallowitz talked about it on. That's a hard name to say. Talked about it on one of his podcasts, and so I was I decided to go and watch that, and then we realized, hey, we were already struggling with trying to keep up with getting our invoices out, and so that's why we explored Jobber, and I think our Jobber sales rep said, hey, you ought to check out this lawn guy podcast, and he rattled one off. And when I looked it up, I found you. And so
I remember this now. Yes, I remember this. Paul was so mad.
Because I think who he really meant was Paul. Because once I started to listen to yours, I never heard the word jobber come out of your mouth, but I heard you mention Paul, and so I was like, well, I'm going to check the Paul guy. And I started listening to him, and a couple of his in, and I'm like, this guy talks about jobber all the time. So that's who the jobber guy was referring me to. But it was funny because I started listening to yours, and I thought, let's face it, I've got probably 2 or 3 kids older than you, so I thought, what do I know? And so I went all the way back to the beginning, and I started listening to you at episode 1. And listen to you grow and come into your own. And I know it was probably about episode 40 or so. I sent you a message. I was like, this transitioned at 40 for you. Episode 40 was like, I don't know, it was just different. But I like to listen to a guy, Ryan Mickler. He's got an episode, a podcast called Order of Man.
Awesome.
And he does the same thing. Like he pumps out a lot of them, but he says it's all about repetition. And he was talking about he had to get 50 or 100 in before he was, ever felt like he was actually decent, So, but he didn't have other guys to learn from like you guys. And, we've got a great community just for podcasts, and you guys all support each other. So,
oh yeah, I've learned so much. It's been such a blessing and an honor to get to be around people who know more than me, and that's like my life's goal. I always want to be like I don't ever want to be the smartest in the room. If that's ever the case, which I don't think it ever will be, but if that ever is the case, then I need to find a new room to go to, because that's just, I'm always trying to learn from other people, and it's just like these conversations. Like, I've learned a lot from y'all just getting to sit here and listen to your story along the way and the challenges, but how you've overcome them. And now business is rocking and rolling. It sounds like life is good. All the kids are healthy and doing good, I assume. Y'all have a new grandkid as well, right?
Yeah, we got our second grandson, so
he was born February 1st. So it's weird because I do not feel like I am old enough to be someone's grandma. That sounds like a term that's reserved for much older people than I am. But I always loved, and I still do, I love being a mom. But there's just something magic about little kids. And so it's really cool to have these 2 little boys that we get to see grow up. And, like, people are like, oh, grandkids are great. You just spoil them and give them back to your kids, and you don't have to take care of any of the responsibility. And it's true. It's really fun. They start crying, or you're like, wow, this one needs a new diaper. It's not my responsibility anymore.
Yeah. And
so it's just the enjoyable part. And so, not that we wouldn't help with the hard parts, because we would, but,
but you don't physically have to. If it's your kid, you have to.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, we're learning that every single day. So it's great. We've been blessed. Our parents are loving it. It's the first grandkid on both sides, so they're over the moon. But it's been a process for sure, just kind of figuring everything out and all that goes along with that. Well, guys, we're already at 40 minutes. I don't want to take your whole afternoon. I really appreciate y'all coming on and sharing today. Do you have any other words of wisdom or advice or just parting knowledge that you want to give that we hadn't covered today?
I would say, regardless of if it's personal or business, find a mentor.
That's good. Yeah.
That's traveled that road ahead of you, that they can help divert you around the obstacles, because life is hard enough, So anybody that could save you a little pain and misery and stress in your life is well worth it. So
I think we did that for a while, and we didn't really look at it like this. But now looking back, so when our kids, this was probably like 15 or. No, it was about 18 years ago. Our best friends were our parents' ages, basically. Like, they were like 60 years old. And I was right around 30, and you were about 35, 37, something like that, right in there. And our best friends were 60 years old. They had kids our kids' ages. But they were just, we met them.
They had kids that were our age.
Yeah, that our age. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Their oldest was my age. They had 6 kids.
Yeah.
One of them was Jenny's age. Their kids did not live here with them. And so.
But we had met them at church, and they were just like really good examples to us of like friendship and love and just it. I look back at that time of our life, and I appreciate them so much for like how we didn't grow up in religious households, either one of us. And that was something that was important to us, was to raise our kids with faith. And so when they were little and we had this friendship with them, it was just like a time of life that we really cherished. And they were just really good mentors for how to treat each other and things like that. Not that we were bad before, but you can always improve. And so that was important. That I love that. Kind of how you were talking about earlier, how there's, you can be 10 years apart and there's just a time where it's neutralized. Kids are the same way. Like, you can have friends that are older than you and friends that are younger than you, if you have kids that are about the same age sometimes. And then other times, sometimes in life, I think God puts people in your life that may be older than you, have gone through other things that you're going to be going through, and they help you get through that. And so, but that was a neat time of our life.
Yeah.
And I think other things that are important to do in your relationship is you have to keep dating. Like, you kids come along, and like the time of life that you guys are in right now is the best time. Like, you're like, oh, when will I know it's the good old days? And like, you're living them when your kids are little.
Mm-hmm.
To me personally, those were the best days. Like, I would go back and repeat those days again in a heartbeat, because they were just magic. But you have to remember, like, you chose your spouse, and your kids are going to grow up and they're going to leave you. And you want to make sure that you still have a relationship with your spouse. Like, you still have things in common and common interests. You can talk to each other and you still know each other. It's really easy to get lost raising kids and running a business. And you have to make sure, like, every Friday night is date night. And we've gone through times talking about budgeting where Ken's like, I think we need to kind of pull the rein back on things. What if we just do date night once a month? And I'm like, no, date night is every Friday night. And it's just a priority. We don't have to have an expensive date, but that time is sacred. And you have to nurture your relationship, because if you don't, it will fall apart. And so, Friday night date night could be, going on a walk together and having a picnic at the park of something you made at home. Or it could be going to a restaurant, whatever. But you have to take that time, whatever time works for you, to say, we're focusing on our relationship during this time.
That's good stuff. That's amazing. Go ahead, Ken.
I was going to say, I have to agree that setting that time apart, so.
When did y'all start doing that? Because for us, that's physically impossible right now. We can't ask our parents to watch a kid every single week. But at what time did y'all start doing that? Where you started doing date night every single night? I mean, one night a week every week.
I think our oldest was around 10.
Okay.
And we gone to a marriage class that our church had put on, and that was on Friday night. And so we had, we just got into the routine. That was an 8-week class. So 8 Friday nights in a row, we had to have a babysitter and had to carve out that time. And then that kind of stuck. But for people that are in your situation, and I tell this to my daughter and her husband, they have little kids, and I mean, we're happy to babysit for them whenever, and it's not always possible, but when you put him down to bed at night, close the book, put your phone away and spend time together.
Yeah.
Remember, it could be a Tuesday at 2:00 in the afternoon, but just sometimes take a few hours where you say, you are the most important thing. What's going on in your life? Or play a game together, or
watch a show.
But just make sure that you focus on each other and you don't forget because your relationship is what started everything. You don't have kids if you didn't have a relationship. So just don't lose that spark that you had with your spouse.
That's amazing. There's not much more I can add to that. I mean, that is just really, really good stuff. It's such an honor to get to hear from a couple like y'all that have been in business for so long and have been married for so long and have just a lot of life accomplishments and just so much cool things going on and moving forward as well. Where can everybody find you if they want to ask you something? Because 30 years in business, that's a long time. So where can they find you if they want to reach out and ask you a question?
For me, with Instagram's probably my best because I'm on it far more than I should be. That's the Showcase Lawn, or at the Showcase Lawn.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Well, that's awesome, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and guys, thank you for listening to the show. I hope that you stuck all the way through because there was some really good value in this thing, and if you did at this point, then I know you're gonna believe the same thing as well. And thank you, Ken and Jen, for coming on and spending some time with us this afternoon.
Thank you.
It's our pleasure.
Absolutely. Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning into the show today. I hope it did help you. If you wonder where Savannah went, she just vanished. Well, we had a technical difficulty. One of the headsets messed up, so we're just having to deal with that. But anyway, she was able to listen in on the interview at least, and so we got a lot out of this. And thank you so much for y'all coming on to join us and everybody tuning in. If you would, leave us a big 5-star rating and review. Those really do help us and boost us out there so the algorithm continues to push us and more people like Ken get to check out the show and then bring them into the industry, and then we get to build relationships just like this one right here. So thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to catching up with everybody here on the next episode.